Hey, what is going on guys, and welcome to my banner review featuring Tobias, Hope, and Ariel. I'm just gonna say right off the bat that this banner is really good. I definitely would recommend summoning. However, we do have a Gala banner coming up real soon near the end of the month, so whether or not you want to summon is up to you depending on what you need and what you really want, alright? Anyways, let's start off the review with the star of the banner, Tobias. He's a Windblade and he secured a role that's similar to Noelle's and Blade Melody, basically a buff bot. He has a skill 1 that increases the strength of wind characters on the team by 30% for 15 seconds. If we compare this to Melody's and Noelle's skill 1 buff, you can tell that Tobias's is obviously better, coming out ahead with 30% strength instead of 25 and 15. The SP cost is reasonable, it's 3,840 SP, and that'll require Tobias to perform 2 C5s into a C4 in order to fill. C5, C5, C4 actually gives him exactly 3,840 SP, so that's kind of nice. Obviously, if you give him skill haste equipment such as Freya or Ariel and a Dog's Day print, then the combo required to fill his skill 1 will be vastly reduced. With enough skill haste, this skill should become spammable enough and allow Tobias to be able to maintain good uptime on the buff with ease. Now his skill 2 is a long one, so let's break it down one by one. First off, it costs 1 SP and it says that this skill gauge can be filled by attacking enemies and can also auto regen SP. That means that this skill 2 is always up no matter what. That also means that Tobias is an iframe machine. He can iframe anything and everything as long as the attacks aren't purple because his skill 2 is always up. He always has a skill that's readily available for iframing. Now as for the effect, the first part basically says that once skill 2 is activated, for 10 seconds his attack pattern will change and his skill 1 will gradually start to gain SP automatically for 7 seconds. However, during this attack pattern change, Tobias won't be able to move, use force strikes, or dodge. He can only attack and use skills. This unique attack pattern of his is pretty cool. Tobias becomes immobile, but the range on his normal attacks increases drastically. This right here makes his role in High Mercury very flexible. Tobias can be played in a couple of different ways. First, he can be played like a regular Blade by just attacking and hugging Mercury like what Victor usually does. He can also be the primary baiter like what Noelle does. He can just position himself far away from Mercury in order to bait the spits, and that should be a really easy job for him considering the fact that he can just iframe every single spit with his constantly filled skill 2. Very cool stuff. Now if he activates skill 2 again, it'll do Revelation's Purge instead of Sacred Blade. Revelation's Purge deals 8 hits of 10% wind damage and inflicts poison. The poison damage isn't much, but the fact that Tobias even poisons is great because that means not only can he fill the strength buff bot role, be a baiter, but he can also be the poison enabler. And remember, his skill 2 is always up, so he shouldn't have any problems with keeping the poison uptime at 100%. All of this makes Tobias a valuable asset to any win team out there. The only hurdle with this skill is that you really have to learn the boss's attack patterns to the T, or else you might end up getting hit by purple attacks while being in the immobile stance. His co-ability is buff time 20%. This is new of course, and this is a strong co-ability, especially in the wind element because of the amount of buff bot characters that the element has. There's Tobias, Melody, Noelle, and Xainfried to name a few. Now because Tobias is a strength buffer that can maintain multiple buffs quite easily, it's not really necessary to pair him up with Noelle. There's a certain percentage point where strength buffs will peak at, and any more buffs afterwards become less and less effective. That's when you want to combine a strength buffer with a different kind of buff bot such as Xainfried who buffs critical rate. Not saying you can't run Tobias with Noelle because you certainly can, but ultimately you want to diversify the type of damage buffs that your team has. Of course, it also depends on what DPS characters are in the comp. For example, a character like Lin Yu who already stacks so much critical rate won't benefit much from Xainfried's critical rate buff, so instead, she might prefer stacking more strength or having her critical rate damage boosted in some way. His abilities are Buff Time, Bog Res, and Poison Puncher. All 3 of these abilities are good. Buff Time 25% combined with his co-ability will increase the duration on his skill 1 buff by about 6 to 7 seconds I believe. Good stuff there. Bog Res 100% is obviously preferred for all difficulties of High Mercury. Poison Puncher is alright, is normally really good for DPSers, but Tobias doesn't really output much personal DPS since he's mainly a skill 1 buff bot. But regardless, Poison Puncher still adds to his personal DPS, so it's alright I guess. Tobias is hands down one of the best wind characters currently. You can run him with anybody because his co ability doesn't conflict with traditional blades, and he pairs very well with other buff bots because of his buff time co ability. He's an incredibly strong character and he's a great asset to any wind team out there. Every team is going to want Tobias. He can be played as a regular melee buff bot or as a buff bot baiter, so his role is also flexible. And something I want to mention real quick is that there's a new speed clear team out there that consists of a Tobias and 3 Hawks. This team comp can clear Masters HMC in sub 1 minute. It can also clear other Masters High Dragon trials in a fairly quick fashion as well, as long as the High Dragon is susceptible to stun. I definitely 100% recommend pulling for Tobias. Next is Ariel, an offensive skill haste wind dragon. Her aura grants 50% strength and 30% skill haste. She's kind of used in the same way as Freya, but not really at the same time. Ariel is primarily going to be used on melee supports such as Tobias and Wedding Elisan, just to name a couple. She can be used on ranged supports such as Noelle and Zainfried, but that case is more situational. Freya allows ranged supports to survive the initial blast and Masters HMC without defensive co abilities, so yeah, it will depend from team to team. Freya also provides AoE heals with her skill, so she still retains her own little niche. Now, going back to Ariel, her skill deals one hit of 1200% wind damage, which is a lot, and it inflicts stun for 6 to 7 seconds with 180% chance. This has the same stun duration and stun chance as Zephyr's skill, so you can use Ariel for stunning Masters High Dragons. You can use her on Aldrich in the old High Jupiter strat that nobody does anymore, or you can also use her on Wedding Elisan for stunning Masters High Mercury to cancel the second tidal wave. Now keep in mind that the animation is a lot quicker than Zephyr's stun, so you'll have to adjust your timing. As for her damage mods on her normal attacks aren't that great, but she does attack extremely fast and her skill nukes, so her overall damage should be at least decent. Overall, she's a fantastic wind dragon, definitely a great addition to the wind element. Okay, last but not least is Wind Sword Hope. I'm gonna go through him pretty quickly, it won't take that long. He doesn't seem great at first, but he does have some use, believe it or not. He's a very niche and situational type of character. Hope is in the same category as other skill 1 defense buffers like Padilla and Ryozan. He's not there to deal damage because his damage is trash. Instead, his role is to enable printless, enable double buffs, and to be a pseudo healer with his healing double buff ability. In Masters High Mercury, you can give him the Chocolatier Sprint, and that way he can use his skill 1 defense buff before the initial blast to cushion some of that damage for the whole team. Now his healing double buff ability doesn't heal for that much. It's a very weak heal, so if you're gonna use him just for heals, teammates will probably need to run Odd Sparrows. What's interesting is that he has both freeze and bog res. That leads me to believe that he might have some good value in Wind Agito. Maybe, maybe not, who knows, we'll have to wait and find out. But it does seem that way considering the fact that Agito bosses usually afflict 2 different types of afflictions. So yeah, this banner is pretty good. We have 2 excellent 5 stars in Tobias and Ariel. Obviously the one that you should be aiming for is Tobias, but if you do happen to get Ariel instead, then that's not too bad either. She's pretty good as well. But regardless though, it's a great banner. Again, there's a Gala banner coming up real soon, so spend wisely. And that's gonna be it for my review. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.